Today I'm joined by Katie Harvey. Katie is a burnout and performance coach working with high performers and entrepreneurs that look like they're doing well on the outside but are burnt out and struggling on the inside. This is the Proper Property Podcast. So Katie, welcome. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's a pleasure. We're really interested to hear about your story, your journey, and what it is you're up to now. But before we do, let's go right back to the start. What was life like for Katie growing up?
I mean, it was pretty chilled, pretty simple, no sort of major events. We had quite a lot of illnesses and stuff in the family that used to pop up every couple of years, but I think most people go through that, especially nowadays. There's all sorts going around. But it was good upbringing. I think we've come from a family of people that have done like apprenticeships, not ever really gone down the uni route. So when I was coming towards, very hands-on. So dad was a mechanic, mum's a hairdresser, my brother did a mechanical apprenticeship as well. My cousins and stuff, they all did apprenticeships, electrician, plumber. So I think everyone expected me to go to uni when it got to that point of choosing what we wanted to do after GCSEs. And I was looking at everyone, I was like, well, everyone else is earning money here. Like, I want to earn money.
You got the itch.
Yeah, and I said to everyone, I was like, I actually think I want to do an apprenticeship. And they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I think I want to be an electrician. And at that point, I didn't really know what it involved. I was like, I don't want to be a hairdresser. I've seen my mum be a hairdresser, and as much as she loves it, it's definitely not for me.
Not for you, yeah.
And I was like, I definitely want to go down the practical route. And if I don't like it, I can just stop and try something new.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of apprenticeships as well, is that if you don't enjoy it, you don't have to stay there forever. But I absolutely loved it. So I didn't do A-levels, didn't do anything like that, went straight into an apprenticeship at 16. And then about halfway through my first year, I went into an adrenal crisis, which at the time I didn't know. Just passed out in mum and dad's room at 2:00 in the morning, went in with a sore eye, and they were like, why are you telling us that you've got a sore eye at 2:00 in the morning? Yeah. And then that was it. And then I got diagnosed off the back of that. But it was very scary for everyone around me. But for years, I'd been exhausted. I'd been sleeping all the time. I couldn't do any sports. I couldn't exercise properly. I couldn't eat. Like, I'd just be sick if I ate. And everyone thought I had an eating disorder or something else was going on, or maybe it was just hormones. They finally diagnosed me, went on all this medication, and I felt amazing. All of a sudden, I had all this energy, and I was like, this is great. I've never had this much energy. And then about 6 months later, my brother turned around and was like, there's this property event that's I want to go to. He's been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and he's not very academically smart, but if he likes something, he will like lock in on it. He's zoned in.
I mean, that's a huge benefit to for me. I'm the exact same. When I've got my focus on something, that's it. I'm locked in until I know and I can do it.
Yeah.
Even this weekend, I said, right, I'm having this weekend off. I locked into something at about 4:00 in the afternoon on Saturday. I went to bed at the early hours on Sunday morning about 6:00 because I was in the zone.
Yeah.
And some people don't get that. Some people will get that. And I don't know whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, but it has huge advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd never seen him read a book, and all of a sudden he was reading books on property investing, and I was like, something's wrong with him. There's something wrong with him. And I didn't know anything about property at this point, but he's the quiet one of the two of us. He's older, but he's much more introvert. Yep. And I'm the extrovert. And I was like, well, I'll come along. You've said you'll pay for everything, so 3 days away, it's like a little trip. And the first day I was like mind blown. And it wasn't like a high-level investment course. It wasn't like anything fancy. It was one of those ones where they want to upsell you at the end of it, run to the back of the room. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe that they don't teach this stuff in school. And it wasn't just...
It's almost as though they don't want us to know this stuff, right?
And I know that obviously if everyone did it, there'd probably be a bit of a problem. But even the financial stuff, like just... that you have to pay bills when you move out. Like, they don't teach you, they don't prep you for any of that life stuff.
I always say, if they taught us at school how to understand tax, how to leverage money, and how to leverage wealth, this country would be the world would be a completely different place.
Absolutely.
But with that knowledge, ultimately brings more power. And I mean, I'm not going to go down the political route, but as you said, there would be a problem because we would all have more power, more wealth, more knowledge, and ultimately, that's not good for the government.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's go back a little bit. You said you were diagnosed. What were you diagnosed with?
It's called Addison's disease.
Okay.
So it's very rare, and it took them quite a while to work out what it was. The thing that actually got them was when I turned around. They'd already discharged me, sent me home, couldn't find anything wrong with me. And then I went back because I couldn't stop throwing up, kept passing out. And they were like, is there anything that's been different? And I was like, oh, I just can't think of anything. I was like, the only thing I think is I keep sending my dad to McDonald's to get me chips because I really want the salt. And it was like the doctor just clicked. And McDonald's actually saved my life. So if that hadn't happened, if I wasn't craving salt and that wasn't like the trigger, then they probably wouldn't have diagnosed me. And if they didn't diagnose me that night, I wouldn't have woken up the next day.
Amazing.
And it was like, yeah, mad.
McDonald's saved your life. I'm quite addicted to McDonald's. Maybe I've got Addison's. Maybe. Okay, so you were diagnosed at what age were you then?
16.
16. So was it from the diagnosis, was there then medication? Was there then treatment? Did your life change going forward? Was it a quick change or?
Yeah, so I actually got diagnosed at 9 p.m. in the evening, and they immediately had to give me the hydrocortisone. So Addison's is essentially a lack of cortisol, so I don't produce it, and that's your stress hormone. You need that to be alive, and my levels were extremely low, so they had to medicate me immediately, and then I'm on that for the rest of my life now. I take tablets for it every day, every morning, and in the morning your cortisol peaks, and in the evening it goes down. But because of my levels, they had to give it me no matter the time, which meant that all of a sudden in 9 o'clock in the evening I'm like wired. I was
running around,
and it kicked in so quickly. I had to have the week off work, so I had to go and see all these specialists and have all these appointments, and some of my vitamin levels were low as a result of the low cortisol, and I had to have some injections and stuff for that. And I was like, I need to go to work. I was like, I need to go back to work. I've got so much energy, I don't know what to do with myself.
Yep.
And my mum was like, just rest. You've just been through, like, you've just nearly died. And I was like, yeah, but I feel great. I was like, I felt like crap for the last 4 years and no one knew what was wrong with me. And now I feel great. And it was like overnight, I just felt better. But having that then sent me into a spiral of just doing more and more and more and wanting to take advantage of having energy that I hadn't had for so long. Which,
in my opinion, or in my experience, that brings burnout.
Absolutely.
I think we'll get on to burnout because I know you're a keen advocate of burnout and how to not resolve it, because it's not something you can resolve, but how to manage it. Correct.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the property event. How old were you then? 17.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah. Was that the start of you?
I think so. And I'd always known that I wanted to do more, but didn't know what it was. And I always knew that there was something else out there. Like, even after 6 months of working on site with like 40-year-old blokes.
As an electrician?
Yeah.
Wild.
Like, you can't, they're like struggling to bend down to pick up a screwdriver. And I'm there like, this can't be my life forever. Like, I love this job right now, but I can't get to that point.
Yeah.
Like, I can't let myself get to that point. And generally, it's a lot different now, actually, but when I first started, most people on site were quite unhealthy. They didn't exercise. They had takeaways every day. Like, they just run to Tesco's, grab a meal deal.
You see it a lot. Yeah. I was in a petrol station this morning. It was about 8 o'clock, so people were on the way to site, and the amount of builders and construction workers and electricians that were on the way to site just loading their vans full of crisps, chocolate.
Yeah.
And I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They're all having a really unhealthy diet. And this is not just today. This is every single day. And then I imagine at the weekends, they treat themselves to a takeaway.
Yeah, and they tend to wind down by having quite a lot to drink.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is like you're travelling quite a lot as well when you're on the tools. You're never really local. Even when you think that you're local, you're still an hour away, or you get stuck in traffic, or you're going from job to job. So it makes it really hard to meal prep, take food that you can actually have that's healthy. But I found a site where I was on for like 6 months and I had a fridge and everything. So that really helped me like with the food. But there's times when I've gone weeks where I'm just like, I've just got to have Tesco's meal deals because there's nothing I can take to work and it stay fine to eat.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of, I go through peaks and troughs of eating really well, and then I'll kind of drop off a cliff, and then it'll take me a few weeks to get back onto the healthy, not healthy eating, but proper eating. But I'm sure you've got a huge opinion on your diet, yeah.
Yeah.
Which will. So you've now gone to a networking event. Was you said that was potentially the start of you? Where did that take you? What did that networking event evolve into?
So at first it started with looking into the property world a bit more deeply, reading some books myself, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that amazing book. And I think that for so many people, that's like the pivotal part of their journey is that book. And then we kind of realised the people that we were listening to and learning from, they weren't the most morally right people. They like to screw people over. They were more in it for the money than they were actually helping people, which I think is very common now. There's a lot of...
Very much so.
And it's a shame because there are some really good people out there, but you never know who's good now, and that's the tricky part.
We have this conversation on most podcasts, and most people that we speak to on a day-to-day within the industry, this topic comes up because it's so rife with people that are doing it for, I don't know whether they necessarily intend to do it for the wrong reasons, but they certainly end up going down that path and think, well, actually, I could sell this very subpar knowledge that I've got for money.
Yeah.
And that's really dangerous for the person that's paying for that knowledge, thinking that that's gold when it's actually, it's potentially not the right knowledge. Because what we say in property, every property is different. Every strategy is different. And it isn't a one size fits all. And unless you understand the intricacies of all these things, you can't just teach it. Do you know what I mean?
And coaching is intense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, when someone pays you to coach them, you're not just coaching them on property. You're giving them life advice. You're there when shit hits the fan. You're there through every hurdle that they come across. And dealing with your own hurdles is very different to dealing with someone else's hurdles. And I think that when people set up these coaching courses, they don't take that into account. Yeah. So they don't, like you said, they don't intend to do it initially for the money, but it turns into this burden for them because they don't realise how much they're taking on other people's problems.
I agree. So did your property career start at the age of 17, or was it something that you kind of went back on the tools and then you carried on educating yourself and then you started in property, or was...
Yeah, so we set the company up when I was 17, but legally I couldn't go on it. Yeah. So Josh, my brother, had it all on his name, and then as soon as I turned 18, we went on. We actually got our first deal really quick, and it was for a letting agent, but it was an absolute shocker of a deal. It was like,
they usually are the first ones, right?
We just had no idea what we were doing. I think we were just so excited to potentially have this deal that we just jumped in, and we ended up speaking to someone else. We were like, look, we've jumped into this, and now we're just about breaking even. It's a rent-to-rent HMO. We don't know what to do. And they were like, just talk to the landlord and be honest. And we did, and then we fixed the deal. We took £500 off the rent we were paying him, and all of a sudden we were making £500. But we were so scared to have that conversation because we were like, we've messed up here. But we did get like a solicitor to draw up all the contracts and stuff, so we were safe and we could exit if we needed to. We could hand the keys back. And of course we had Section 21 still then, and we'd done all of that stuff properly. But there was so many things that we just didn't know about until we did it. And that was generally for a lack of education because we just jumped in so quick. But we almost needed to make those mistakes to actually learn them properly.
Well, you don't know until you know.
Exactly.
And often you don't know until you've done it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's all good somebody saying, do this, do that. But until you've done it, like my first rent-to-rent deals or property deals, they were a disaster. Not a disaster. I mean, we made them work. But if those deals were to come across my desk now, I wouldn't go with them
Yeah.
because they don't necessarily work how I work now.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're so excited. You're like, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. I've made it.
Yeah.
And you're like signing it. Did you read that? Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Signed it.
Yeah. And you get so like, oh my God, I've done it. Like we've got a deal. And then actually the second deal was harder, like finding that second deal because we knew the mistakes we'd made.
Yeah.
And a lot of people teach you with rent to rent that you should be making a certain amount of profit per room per month. But we work on profit margin because with the fluctuation of bills and everything that's going on, and Oxford, where we have our rent to rent HMOs, is a lot more expensive than Swansea, for example. So
or Sheffield.
Yeah, like those figures don't work. We have to work on a profit margin. So if we have an empty room, the most expensive room is empty. We still need to break even.
Yeah.
And those like minimum profit per month don't work in Oxford. So we did have to kind of look at our business model and restructure it in a way that worked for the area.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things as well with the property training is some of them, we've done some really good property training. And I'm on one at the moment, I absolutely love it, but it's more business focused than property. And a lot of it's generic and you do still have to go out there and do your own research and make sure that you're doing stuff correctly.
For me, that's better.
Yeah.
That is my type of training, you know. What I find from courses as well, that a lot of it is it's a little bit about a lot of stuff. Whereas for me, I find more value if it was a lot of information about one subject, if that makes sense. And it's really hard to find a course like that because everybody's different.
Yeah.
If 20 people in a room, 20 people might want to really focus on a completely different subject. So it's really, really hard for these bigger education courses anyway to really cater to those people.
To everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So is that your strategy? Rent to rent HMO?
Yeah, so we're now actually looking at buying assets. We're going through we're just looking at deals, stacking them at the moment, see what works. Oxford is very expensive, so we are now looking in other areas, but Oxford is the only place we've ever invested.
Yeah.
So we're doing due diligence at the same time. We're taking our time. One of the things that we've learned being younger and investing is that we don't need to rush. As much as we want it now, we don't need to rush.
Yeah.
We can enjoy the journey and get it right rather than go through the stress and the pain of getting it wrong and then having to fix it.
Yeah.
And we had a deal last year that it was going to be a 7-bed HMO and the surrounding properties just absolutely hammered it on planning, just didn't want it. We would have got planning if it wasn't for all of the appeals. People in Wales, like family members of the people living, were emailing in, sending appeals. And we were like, we'd spent about $5,000 on planning and all of that. And I was like, we're not going to get this. Like, we need to just make the decision now and pull, because if we keep going, we're going to lose money. And a good friend of mine, he said, if you're on the wrong train, you get off as quickly as you can. You don't carry on.
100%. I like that.
It's really hard sometimes when you've invested that money already. It's like $5,000 is not pocket money to everyone.
No.
And it's like, we're going to have to take that hit and we're just going to have to jump off. Like, we just got to leave it.
Did you jump off?
Yeah. But if we carried on, we never would have got planning.
And even if you did get planning, imagine the headache.
The neighbours
of running that HMO with the neighbours. Yeah. But, and that's really good that you've touched on that, because if that was your first deal, you'd have done everything to get it over the line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then we'd probably be like $15,000 down.
Yeah. Or $15,000 down and a massive headache.
Yeah.
Calls all the time. One of your tenants has opened the bin too loud.
Yeah.
That's what you get, right?
Yeah.
I get it as well. And it's once you've got a neighbour that dislikes what you do, it never ends, right? Until they move.
And especially with HMOs, once they clock it's a HMO, they feel that they can complain about everything. Like, some of our tenants smoke in the garden, and one of our neighbours was like, well, I can't have my windows open. It's like, but your neighbour on the other side smokes in the garden.
Yeah. I think HMOs gets this stigma instantly without even the understanding of the type of people and clientele that you're putting in that property. It's just default, worst case scenario, worst case people. Yeah. That's what people think. And it's not right, because 90% of the HMOs nowadays are done to a really good standard. They're managed really, really well. And the clients or people that are staying there and living there are working professionals that are actually 9 times out of 10 better than a standard tenant that lives on the other side that you're stuck with forever.
Yeah.
Right? So
and like most of our tenants, they are workers. We don't have students, but people have this preconception of student HMOs, and they think that every HMO is going to be full of students. I'm like, half our tenants aren't there most of the time.
Yeah.
They're out at work.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of them do night shifts. They work at BMW, places like that.
Yeah.
They're not there. They just go home. They most of the time get a takeaway. They don't even cook.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't win.
and I've learned that you will never win. There will always be somebody that's unhappy with what you're doing. So for me, I just don't care anymore. Yeah. So you're now at a very young age. You've got a property business with your brother, which is great. You've got all this energy because you've got your new medication. I might have to get some of those tablets off you. But amazing, right? So you're able to do all these things. How long does that last?
Not very long when you're doing too much. And I learned that. Took a few times to learn it, actually. It's funny, you don't learn the first time. First couple of years of being diagnosed, I just went all out with everything. We'd started this new business. We were researching all the time, attending as many networking events as possible.
Making up for lost time?
Absolutely. And it was like, it was making up for lost time, but it was also this sense of, well, if I've got energy, I've got to use it. It was almost like I didn't know what to do with the energy. I didn't know how to then sit down.
Relate to that.
Yeah, and it was like I was just filling time. Like, I'd be like, oh, I've got a free weekend this weekend. Then the weekend would come around. I'm like, how have I got a full weekend? I thought I had a free weekend. Just filling it constantly. And
filling it with work as well.
Yeah, like, it was a mixture of work. It was a mixture of like exercise, seeing friends, going out. Turned 18, obviously you start going out all the time and drinking as well. And then you realise that you're trying to build a business and you can't do all of that at the same time. I think that it was probably 8 months into my diagnosis that I went into my first crisis from burnout, and I would never ever admit at the time that it was burnout. I was just like, oh, it's just coincidence, you know. Everyone was like, you're doing too much.
So what does a crisis look like?
So for me, my onset symptoms are waking up at like 1 or 2 in the morning, just throwing up. And then after that, I can't keep my meds down and I end up passing out. We have to call an ambulance, injection, hospital, drip. And then as long as I can eat and stuff, they let me go. But sometimes I'm in there for a few days. Sometimes I'm in there for 24 hours. I had one case where I had to have 3 emergency injections.
Wow.
A boy in the waiting room thought I died. It was like absolutely horrendous. And it was all because I was just pushing myself too hard, and I wouldn't even recover after these. Like, I'd have like 1 day off and then I'd be back on it because I'm like, I feel fine now. And then I'd just carry on. And I probably went into a crisis 4 times because of burnout before I actually took note of it.
Yeah.
And burnout creeps up on you. And I think that's one of the biggest problems. For me, it hits me quite hard, and I don't have a choice but to acknowledge it in the form of going to hospital. But I didn't realise it was burnout that was causing it. As soon as I realised that, I was like, oh my God, all these people are just pushing themselves all the time, but they don't have that signal like I do to stop.
Well, that was my next question. Obviously, burnout to you is very deadly, potentially fatal, yeah? Burnout to other people, I was going to say normal people, sorry, other people, burnout to normal. Other people looks very, very different. And I know burnout is different for everybody. I know when I hit burnout, because everyone and everything pisses me off. And I know at that point, right, I'm burning out here, and I'll kind of try and take myself away for a few days and stuff like that, and I'll kind of look at what I'm doing and recategorize it. Right, that can wait. Let's focus on that, and then I rebalance myself, but then I just start building it up again. So, what if there's people listening to this who don't know and can't acknowledge that they're reaching burnout or getting to burnout? What are the key signs?
So number 1 is brain fog. So just like forgetting things that you wouldn't normally forget. Maybe you've had a conversation with someone and you're like, what were we even talking about? Or you can't quite remember what the plans for the day are. Another one is isolation. So a lot of people isolate themselves. Like you said, everyone around you annoys you, or you're just mentally drained that you can't socialise anymore. And that's one of my personal symptoms, is I isolate myself. I just don't want to spend time with anyone, even though that's one of my favourite things to do. Lack of motivation and like losing the love for the thing that you were doing. And that happens quite commonly with business owners anyway. But when you have like a week where you're like, I think I should just go and get a job in Tesco's and just work for the rest of my life because this is just too bad. That's a real warning sign, because we're doing this because we love it, because we've chosen that route, and because it's going to give us the freedom. Other people will tend to say to you as well, you'll notice people saying to you, well, how are you feeling? Like, are you doing too much at the moment? Maybe you need to slow down a bit. And everyone like pats it off like, yeah, no, I'm fine. But actually people are saying it to you. People are noticing it. Other people around you are going to notice it before you do. And that's one of the biggest problems with burnout, is it's so hard to notice in yourself because it happens gradually.
Yeah.
And then probably the final one that I see very common is sleep disorders, sleep issues. Can't get to sleep, or they just wake up in the middle of the night, or they go to sleep, they wake up absolutely exhausted still, even if they've slept well. And that's a big problem, because sleep is like one of the one things that you need to keep an eye on. And sleep is the foundation for everything.
Yeah. That's another one. I mean, I sleep really, really well. I could sleep through the nuclear holocaust. A bomb could go off in my back garden and I'd be sleeping through it. And when I go to bed or say, right, I'm going to sleep now, within seconds, and I'm blessed with that. But when I do feel that I'm reaching the point of burnout and everyone starts to piss me off, that is the only time I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm laid there looking at the ceiling for 3-4 hours. Sometimes I even have to get up and do something, walk the dog at 4 in the morning, because I'm not going to sleep. Yeah. Or I'll start working at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like, why? But I've recognised now, when that starts to happen, actually, thinking about it, everyone's pissing me off as well. I'm getting to the point where I need a little bit of a break. So it's interesting that you've touched on that. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening to this or watching this that when you've reeled through those warning signs, they've probably in their heads just gone tick, 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 tick. Yeah?
Yeah.
How important is recognising burnout?
Very. And the reason for it is because burnout can destroy everything. We're building these businesses and we're working hard, and we've put ourselves in these difficult positions to spend more time with the people we love, spend more time doing what we love, and ultimately have a better lifestyle, but we're taking it away from ourselves. And the more and more burnout you get, the less of the lifestyle you want you have. And it's like a snowball effect, is it just gets worse and worse as worse. And I was speaking to someone recently and he said, like, my wife just collared me and she was like, you haven't spent any of the time with the kids. All he'd been doing was working. And one of the symptoms I forgot to mention, and this is very, very common in high performers, is hyperfixation. So they then notice they'd be super productive and super fixated on work for a few weeks, and then they just crash. So if you start to notice like, oh, I've been really productive at the moment, like this is great, burnout's on its way. You're much better just having a steady pace of work and not being this like super productive person every single day, because that super productiveness is a sign that you're going to hit the wall. But yeah, it's so serious because people don't realize it's just going to take away everything that you've built, and it can send people into bankruptcy. It can ruin their businesses. If you're the main person in your business and it can't rely without you, if it can't survive without you, and you disappear because you're burnt out, and there's severe cases of burnout where people have like stroke-like symptoms, they just can't get out of bed. They're physically, a lady I was speaking to recently, her daughter had to dress her for work when she was burnt out because she couldn't get out of bed. Her daughter said to her, how are you going to go to work, mummy? And she was like, oh, I just find a way. And it's, people just don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
But it's better to stop early, put the prevention measures in early. Even though they're easy not to do, they're so easy to do, and not ruin your whole business. Stop before it's too late. But people don't recognise that they're in that mode.
Well, thank God you're here to tell them. Yeah. So is this where Breathe was born, with the idea that people need to know about this? Yeah.
Yeah. So it started. I set it up early last year. So January last year is when I actually started building it out properly. But the year before that, my ultimate goal was to basically not, 2 years before that actually, sorry, was to not go into hospital for burnout, because I'd started recognising it. I'd spent a lot of time on strategy on what I actually wanted, and I managed the 2 years and I felt great. And I was doing more than I ever had. The businesses were better than they ever had been. And I had more time for myself doing what I loved as well. And every time I looked around me, I was like, these people are just like running themselves into the ground. And when you're in quite a good state of mind and you're very conscious and you know what you're doing, you notice it a lot in other people when things aren't going right. And it's like your mates, you know, when you see them and they're not in a good mood and they're like, yeah, I'm fine. And it's like, you're not.
You know something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you start seeing it in people around you. And I was like, what a blessing I have to be able to force myself to look after myself, because otherwise I'll end up in hospital. All these people aren't doing that because they don't even realise that that's the issue that they've got, is this raised cortisol all the time. And that's essentially what burnout is you're in fight or flight for too long. And that's what stops you from sleeping, because your brain thinks that there's something wrong. Fight or flight today is the same as it was 200 years ago when you were being attacked. And that's the real problem, is our brains haven't adjusted as quickly as society has. And it's just, I became very passionate about wanting people to look after themselves, because success doesn't have to cost everything. You can still have success and your health at the same time.
So what is Breathe?
Breathe is essentially a community of people where we meet twice a week. One of them is Breathe In, which is our brief, and it is information, knowledge, understanding the science behind why you need to do what you do. I think the science behind stuff is really important for high performers, because people tell you to do daily gratitude and you're like, yeah, whatever. If you understand the science behind it, it actually makes sense. Yeah. And then on a Friday, we meet as a community and we pretty much just talk about life, anything but business. And then we set accountability for the week of like a small habit that they're going to do to improve their lifestyle. And it's all about preventing burnout and looking after yourself. And most people start in quite a high burnout state and then they slowly ease off. But I say to everyone, this isn't an overnight fix. This isn't something that's going to like happen in 2 days. You need to stick with it. And that's the hardest bit that people struggle with.
Yeah. It's all about being consistent, especially in something new.
Yeah.
And new routines and new habits. I think I heard many years ago that until you've done something 14 times, it doesn't become a habit. Is that something that I've just made up, or does that sound about right?
Yeah, it's I think it's different for everyone. Like I've heard so many different numbers on it and different days and different weeks that it takes to build a habit. But essentially a habit is when your prefrontal cortex stops working and it goes into the middle of your brain. I can't remember what it's called, the amygdala ganglia or something like that.
Middle of your brain.
Yeah, the middle of the brain. And that's when the front of your brain is all for your decision making and how you do things and actually have to think about it, whereas the middle is when it goes automatic.
Yep.
And that's like brushing your teeth or having a shower in the morning, just getting out of bed. That's automatic behaviours. And the easiest way to build a habit is to bolt it onto something that's already automatic, and it will become automatic a lot quicker than if you did it as a solo behaviour. But the problem is that people don't stick to it, even when they know that they need to do it. They know it's the right thing to do. It's like we all know that eating healthy and going to the gym is the right thing to do, but how many of us actually do it? Because it's so easy to say that work is taking the priority and our health is not the priority.
Well, it's the easiest excuse, right?
Yeah.
I'm busy. Why? Work. Best excuse in the world, right? Because who can argue with that?
Yeah.
He's busy with work. Okay, he's busy with work. But it's an excuse.
Yeah. And the other issue that most entrepreneurs and high performers, business owners have is we don't have boundaries on our work time. You work for someone else, you start at 9, you finish at 5.
On the dot.
No, you don't take work home with you. No. It's like my boyfriend started a new job recently and he's got a work phone. And he'd be sat in the evening and he'd pick up his work phone. I'm like, put it down. And he's like, why? I'm just checking the emails. I'm like, what difference is it going to make? You're going to check the emails in the morning, do it at work. I'm like, you don't even need to bring your phone home. I was like, it's this safety thing. Like, we all check our emails in the evening, the WhatsApp business. Why? Because it's just stressing us out. We're not going to do anything about it until the next day anyway.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done.
Yes.
For me anyway. But I don't have the knowledge and the habits in place because I've not done the Breathe Blueprint. Maybe I should do the Breathe Blueprint. So is that what it is? It's a blueprint? It's a blueprint and a community? Yeah. Is it growing? Is it big? Have you got many people on this community now?
Yeah, so my maximum for the community is 20 people. And the reason for that is I want to know this. I had a few people trying to push me to turn it into a high ticket product and to have it as a business that I could grow and sell one day. But that's not the point of the business. Yep. This business is focused around me and my story, my information. Don't ever want to sell it. I don't ever want it to be a huge business. It's definitely a passion business. I've still got to make money from it because I'm spending time in it, but I don't want it to be huge. So I've now made it accessible for almost everyone. It's £97 a month at the moment, and it goes up in October. Once I get to 10 members, that's when I'm going to put it up, which my aim is October. And I've got 8 people in there at the moment. And it's just a very honest, safe space for people to talk about the stuff that they're going through.
Yep.
And actually just have that, I had someone call me the other day, really good friend of mine, and he said to me, he was like, hey, I just need some advice. Like, I'm feeling really burnt out. I know that I'm burnt out. I've done your scorecard and it's really triggered something in me that I need to do something about this. And I was like, okay, talk me through your day. I said to him, your problem is you're going on WhatsApp business the second that you wake up. I was like, you don't start work till 8 and you've got the kids to deal with in between that. Stop going on WhatsApp business first thing because you're triggering that fight or flight immediately. Just like, don't go on your phone until you get to work. Leave that at work. And he said, I knew that. He's like, I just needed someone to tell me.
It's amazing that, isn't it?
A lot of Breathe is about accountability.
Yeah.
And people will pay for accountability because they know they won't do it on their own. It's the same reason I pay for a PT, because I won't go to the gym if I'm not paying for it.
Yeah.
So it's all these different things that a lot of people pay for these training courses because they need the accountability. It's not because they don't know what to do. Most people have heard all of the stuff that I tell them, all of the habits that I tell them they should be doing. They know. They just don't do it.
Yeah. Interesting. So you've got availability for most places?
At the moment. I'm actually doing a 6-week reset in October as well, which I have a waiting list open for at the moment.
Well, don't tell me. Tell people that are listening and watching what you've got available, how they can join, everything they need to know into that camera. Is it that camera, James? Yeah.
Yeah, so I've got the Success Hangover reset in October. It's a 6-week reset. It's not going to fix all of your problems, but it's going to give you the foundations to actually set yourself up to move forward. And then it's optional if you want to join Breathe Together afterwards, which is the community. The community is available to anyone, and there is also a 30-day free trial because I might not be the right person for you, and that's okay. You have to find the right person for you to keep you accountable. It's £97 a month at the moment. It's going to £147 in October. I'd love anyone to book a call with me or speak to me, drop me an email or a message at katie@breatheblueprint.com, and I'm more than happy to give my time to help people.
Amazing. Well, listen, we've already had a brief conversation in the past, and what we discussed back then really resonated, and I took a lot from it, but I'm still not in a position personally where I'm reacting to the signs well enough. So I think, but on the back of this conversation, I may be signing up this afternoon to the Breathe Blueprint. I can't even get that word out. Breathe Blueprint.
I could have made it a bit easier to say.
Yeah, well, it's like the proper property podcast. That's not easy because I suffer from burnout on a regular basis. I don't read the signs well enough. In fact, I do read the signs, but I don't act on the signs. Yeah. So I think from the accountability side, I'll benefit hugely. So I'm really looking forward to joining this blueprint and working with you on this because burnout is very, very important. And I think people that are listening and listening will definitely resonate from what you've just said.
Yeah.
And really need to act on it, whether they act on it themselves or they get your support with this blueprint, I really, really advise it. So, so that's it from today, really. It's been great having you.
It's been amazing being here.
Yeah, good stuff. Good luck with everything that you keep doing. I love watching your story. I've seen you doing your MMA fights, and is it Muay Thai?
Muay Thai, yeah.
Muay Thai, yeah. It's amazing to see that you've thrown yourself in the deep end. Imagine going back to where you couldn't even eat or do anything because you didn't have the energy.
Yeah.
And now you're competing, fighting, not just training, you're actually fighting, right?
Yeah. So I'd had my first 2 fights last year and then hoping to fight at the end of the year or the beginning of next year again.
Amazing.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Final sentiment for people is look after your body because it's the only one you'll ever have. You can't replace it. So it's super important that you look after it.
Amazing. Well, good luck with that fighting
Thanks.
as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.